May.
Lincoln's speech focused primarily on the issue of slavery. The question of slavery at the present day should be not only the greatest question, but very nearly the sole question. The question is simply this: shall slavery be spread into new territories or not? I would like to ask your attention, any gentleman, to tell me when the people of Kansas are going to decide. When are they to do it? You who hate slavery and love freedom, why not vote for Fremont? Why not vote for the man who takes your side of the question? Well, says Buchanan, it is none of our business. But is it not our business? We are a great empire. We are 80 years old. We stand at once the wonder and admiration of the whole world. And we must inquire what it is that has given us so much prosperity. And we shall understand that to give up that one thing would be to give up all future prosperity. This cause is that every man can make himself. I have noticed in Southern newspapers their view of the free states. They insist that slavery has a right to spread. They defend it upon principle. They insist that their slaves are far better off than northern freemen. What a mistaken view these men have. They think that men are always to remain laborers here. But there is no such class. The man who labored for another last year, this year labors for himself. And next year he will hire others to labor for him. Tell me not that we have no interest in keeping the territories free.
I had decided to vote for Fremont. I had urged my father, who was a strong Democrat, to do the same. He thought it was a move to favor the Negro, of whom he had a strong dislike. I agreed to pay his fare if he would go to hear Lincoln, which he did, and it did the job. Ever after, he voted for Father Abraham. Amos Knapp, Dowagiac, Michigan.
My desire to hear Lincoln's speech was caused by an attorney by the name of Ira Scott of Chicago. He said Lincoln was the greatest lawyer in Illinois. I stood by Scott and heard Lincoln through his entire speech. I was 30 years of age at that time and was one of a large delegation from Marshall. I participated in all of their maneuvers, day and evening. Respectfully, B.F. Welch, Marshall, Michigan.
Though Lincoln focused primarily on the slavery issue, he also addressed the sectionalism which was growing throughout the country. He rebutted those in the South who were calling for secession in the event of a Fremont victory. How is the dissolution of the Union to be consummated? They tell us that the Union is in danger. Who will divide it? Is it those who make the charge? Are they themselves the persons who wish to see this result? A majority will never dissolve the Union. Can a minority do it?
Meanwhile, we listened to the different speeches that were being made. Mr. Lincoln, Blair, Bingham, Bates, Jones, Kellogg, and many other distinguished speakers were there. They occupied 4 different stands at once, and the crowd was so dense at every one of them that we could not listen with much satisfaction. Listened to Mr. Bates the longest and liked him much, but Lincoln is the man for me. Henry Parker Smith.
In the way of speakers, the effort of our opponents was a bad failure. No man of commanding talent was present or could be procured. Mr. Lincoln of Illinois was the only foreign speaker in attendance. During Lincoln's speech, we had occasion to test the fact that the Republican League is in no sense a party, but a conglomeration of all the discordant factions that are running riot in our land. Kalamazoo Gazette.
I was a lad of 13 summers at the time Abraham Lincoln spoke in Kalamazoo. I accompanied my father to hear his speech. He spoke on a platform constructed at the northwest corner of the courthouse. The roof was made of green boughs. My first vote I cast for Abraham Lincoln. A.M. Prouty, South Haven, Michigan.
As to Governor Bingham, by his maudlin appearance and insufferable buffoonery, he so disgusted men of his own party that He called upon himself expressions of undisguised contempt. Kalamazoo Gazette.
After the speech, Mr. Lincoln stood in the corner of the park and shook hands with everybody who wished to meet him. Many thanked Mr. Lincoln for explaining the slavery matter so plainly and fairly. Andrew Oliver, Kalamazoo.
One of the very intriguing things about Lincoln's visit is where he stayed in Kalamazoo. We know that Abraham Lincoln spent the night of August 27, 1856 in Kalamazoo because he didn't return to Chicago until August 28th, the next day. So he had to spend the night somewhere, but the question of where has intrigued local historians for generations. There are several candidates. One of them is sort of the logical location in many ways, and that was the town's most elegant hotel, the Burdick Hotel, which stood right where the Kalamazoo Center stands now. The original burned down, Burdick Hotel burned down in 1909. But it was a wonderful place by the standards of the time. There is one account, one newspaper account, which says that the committee which organized the rally called on Lincoln at the Burdick Hotel, but that account has never been corroborated, so we don't know for sure. There were several other locations that were possible and have been put forward over the years. One of them was the home of David S. Walbridge, who was a prominent local leader. It stood on what is now the Kalamazoo Mall, and in fact is commemorated by one of the green Michigan historical markers, so when you're next on the mall you can see about where it stood. There were a number of legends that came down over the years about Walbridge, Lincoln using Walbridge's desk to write a letter, and Lincoln presenting Walbridge with a cane, and Lincoln losing his pocket knife, which was later found by the Walbridge family. Well, those are great stories, but the fact of the matter is that when Lincoln was here on the 27th of August, Walbridge was in Washington. So my feeling is that that's a less likely candidate than the Burdick Hotel. A third possibility, probably the least likely, was the home of Allen Potter, who was a mayor of the village of Kalamazoo. Allen Potter built the wonderful Octagon House, which is still in existence. In fact, it's the only one of the 4 places where Lincoln may have stayed that still is standing. And that was located then at the far fringes of the village on what we today call South Westnedge Avenue, and just south of the intersection of Westnedge and Vine. My feeling is that's probably the least likely place because it was so far away from the center of town. But it was the most distinctive house in the village at that point, and I think that's probably why it was put forward as a candidate. In many ways, one of the more likely places would have been the home of the man who invited Lincoln to Kalamazoo, Hezekiah Griffith Wells, H.G. Wells, and his home was certainly unrivaled for convenience because it was on the very spot where the Civic Theater is today, at the southwest corner of the park, so it would have been literally across the street from one of the speaker stands. However, the sad thing is that there is absolutely no evidence that suggests that Lincoln stayed there. So where did he stay? Well, it could have been the Burdick House, it could have been Wells's house, possibly Walbridge's house, maybe on a long shot the Potter House, the Octagon House, but the truth of the matter is we just don't know.